Upstairs at Froelich. Upstairs at Froelich, show 417, reel 1.
I'm thinking Four Weddings and a Funeral was the first tiny little movie to get like an enormous advertising budget and become a huge hit. After that, they started throwing so much money into advertising. They spend more money on advertising than they do on the actual movie itself.
Yeah, Pulp Fiction was one of the first, like, it was a very small budgeted movie. It was like literally the first, Miramax film done under the Disney banner. But at the same time, it was very low budget. Like, pretty much everybody worked for scale.
But there was a lot of word of mouth around that.
Yeah, it was the word of mouth, and it was the Weinsteins doing the Weinstein thing, like fucking advertising here, there, and fucking everywhere. And and they spent all that money in advertising, and the movie became a big hit and launched Tarantino's career. Like, but I get what you're saying. Like, a movie like My Cousin Vinny, this was a straight up word of mouth film. Like, no advertising.
It almost
seemed, you had a couple of TV
yeah.
spots here and there. The only thing you had going in its favor was Joe Pesci was like 1 year removed from his Oscar win.
Yeah,
like
right.
He had won the Oscar for Goodfellas a year prior.
This was in that time period where Joe Pesci was in one hit movie after another.
Yeah, but then he did The Super. Like, The Super wasn't that good. Like, I remember trying to watch this. I could not watch it. I mean, hey, everyone stumbles. They do a money project. That's what The Super was probably.
But I have a feeling though that this would have been a movie that Fox would have shelved had it not been for the buzz that Marisa Tomei got.
Well, but then also, I don't even think it had nothing to do with that. It also had to do with Joe Pesci winning that Oscar, and because of that, then they could probably advertise just a little more, but then to where it won't hurt their bottom line. Because, and again, like you said, the whole reason we're doing these two movies is, of course, because of A, William Zabka, and B, of course, Ralph Macchio is in this movie. And he's not, and that's the big thing. He is not advertised at all.
Not really, no.
It just shows how his name didn't carry any brevity anymore.
I think he did want this part, though. He wanted this part because this was Karate Kid 3 had come out in 89.
89.
And I guess what his career was pretty much dead by that point, right?
Pretty much. I mean, he really didn't do anything after that other than My Cousin Vinny. And even then, what's ironic is he's like 31 at the time of this movie, and he's a college student. He still has that boyish charm. He still has them boyish good looks.
Yeah, the thing about when I first saw the movie, I didn't even know Ralph Macchio was in this movie, right?
Yeah, neither did I until I saw it again. I'm like, is that fucking Karate Kid?
All we knew about it was Marisa Tomei. Marisa Tomei had won the Oscar. I didn't see this in the theater. I saw it on cable.
Well, we all saw it on cable, right? Yeah. I saw it on cable.
And we were like, people were like Marisa Tomei, and I knew who Marisa Tomei was for years because she was on A Different World, and she was on the first season. She was like, I fell in love with her on that show because she was just wonderful. I guess they let her go or something. They wanted to refocus the cast or retool it a little bit because it was originally Marisa Tomei and Lisa Bonet were on the show. Lisa Bonet went back to The Cosby Show, finished out that run there. And Marisa Tomei went off and just sort of disappeared. She did a bunch of comedies, but she had already appeared in John Landis's movie Oscar.
Yeah, that's right. She was, and that was the same year too. Was that 90? That was 91. Yeah, Oscar was 91.
And the thing is, Jonathan Lynn made My Cousin Vinny, but he also co-wrote Clue with John Landis. So John Landis basically put in a good word for Marisa Tomei. Then she appeared in that movie. And then after that, she auditioned for Tony Bill for a movie called Five Corners. He didn't pick her, but he did after she got famous for the Oscar for My Cousin Vinny to appear in Untamed Heart, and that's how all that works out too.
Okay.
And she is, oh my God, she is like so awesome in this movie. She really is fucking awesome. I mean, anybody who complains about, oh well, we don't make strong female characters, and now we do, and everybody thinks they're so enlightened in 2023. Go back and look at this movie. Her Dear Speech. I have even titled this episode The Dear Speech. Because that is the whole thing. I bought a T-shirt for my daughter. It's a picture of Marisa Tomei and the entire text of the Dear Speech. I got that for her last Christmas. Maybe I can get her to model it for me for this episode.
It's like, would you say that's dead on balls accurate? Is that an industry term?
Anyway, in this movie, Ralph Macchio and his friend are two college students. So I guess traveling through fucking Easy Riderville. I mean, you stay away from this.
They're traveling through. Let's say it right. They're traveling through Hickton.
Yes, and they're from New York, for crying out loud. They get pulled. They go into a convenience store or something. Well, a general store or something in the downtown.
They go to the Sack of Suds.
Sack of Suds, where they. They're trying to buy shit, and then there's a fucking robbery, and people are murdered. And the only thing that they see is a car getting away, and they think it's their car, so they get busted along the way, thrown in jail. Ralph Macchio's like, let's call my cousin Vinny. He's kind of an attorney, right? He just got his Hollywood upstairs law degree or whatever.
Yep, Hollywood upstairs. I like that. Oh, you went to Hollywood upstairs medical college too?
Yeah. So he shows up with Marisa Tomei. You think the movie's going to be about them, but it is Joe Pesci, and he and Marisa steal the show pretty much.
Yes.
After that,
the whole scene when Vinny is in the jail talking to him, like, hey, face it, you're gonna get fucked one way or another.
I got to point out that Dale Launer wrote the script for this, and Dale Launer's one of those great writers. He's like just invents shit. He wrote Ruthless People, which is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, great movie, great fucking movie.
And then he wrote and directed later Love Potion No. 9. And
that's an okay movie.
And he wrote this script. And he also wrote Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, which I love. I love that film.
I like Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. I like that movie.
So he's a fine writer, and it was like when you could be a screenwriter, when you could actually be a screenwriter, because nobody is a screenwriter anymore, Froelich. They're all just producers writing. If you look at writers today, there are no writers working, no actual writers. They're all just writer producers.
I'll take your word for that.
And you see it, and you can see that the Producers Guild has made writing a prerequisite of producing. So that's why everybody has PGA credits now, I've noticed.
Yeah.
They're taking writing away from us, too. So, but this is like pure invention, and Dale Launer just pulls this shit out of his ass. You'll excuse the disgusting imagery.
But then this movie also has. So we've talked about the mains, but let's just talk about some of the secondary cast. First of all, Fred Gwynne, Herman Munster himself.
This is final movie, right?
Final movie, and again,
sometimes death is better.
Sometimes death is better. But then he got plucked out. But he got plucked out of obscurity, if you think about it, because think about it, like his career, he did not have a career, and then all of a sudden, like, he started getting these roles like in his twilight years. Like he got Disorganized Crime, which was not a great movie, but it had a stat cast.
Holy
shit!
Just wasn't... Who was in that?
What's his face? Ruben Blades. It has Fred Gwynne, Lou Diamond Phillips,
right.
Ruben Blades, William Russ from I know you know William Russ, Boy Meets World. He was the dad.
Oh yeah.
Corbin Burnson, Ed O'Neill, Daniel Roebuck, who ironically enough became Grandpa Munster. Grandpa Munster became
Grandpa Munster in the Rob Zombie version, yeah.
Yep, and then Hoyt Axton, a.k.a. Randall Peltzer.
I might be Facebook friends with Dan Roebuck, actually.
But yeah, like, so Disorganized Crime, so back to what I was saying. 89 was like the good year for Fred Gwynne because he did Disorganized Crime. Now, while that wasn't a big hit, Pet Sematary was a fucking big hit.
Yeah, it's so weird. You know, he was iconic in that movie so much that when John Lithgow played the part in the remake, he just does a Fred Gwynne impersonation.
Yeah, he does.
He just goes, sometimes death is better.
So yeah, and he tries doing that.
Pepper's Farm, remembers?
I honestly thought the remake was going to be okay because when they said John Lithgow was going to be playing Judd, I was just like, okay, you know, I'll watch it. You know, you got a good actor, but then, dude, fuck that ending, man. That whole movie was fucking trash.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I also, I enjoyed the remake, but it lacked the fun of the original movie.
Of the original, yeah.
I mean, the original had fucking Stephen King driving a truck, listening to the Ramones, killing Gage. I mean, that's...
And to think, Romero could have made that movie. You know, like Romero was supposed to make that fucking movie.
Actually, no. And Stephen King was the minister at the funeral. The truck driver was listening to the Ramones, though.
Yeah,
was listening to Sheena as a punk rocker.
Yeah, Romero was supposed to make that movie, but because of a scheduling conflict, it was either with Monkey Shines or doing the Argento movie. Like something happened and he couldn't fucking do it.
Fear, yes.
Yeah, but
who did that movie? Anyway, was it Mary Lambert who did that?
Yeah, Mary Lambert did Pet Sematary. Right. Took over for Romero.
Then they made a sequel, which made no sense.
Which is I like that
with
movie.
Eddie Furlong, right?
Eddie Furlong, Anthony Goose,
and it had a punk soundtrack. I remember that too because it had kind of a punk soundtrack, like Return of the Living Dead Part 2 did.
Yep, and Clancy Brown in that movie, fucking Mr. Krabs himself, the Kurgan,
Clancy
is
Brown,
in that movie.
Awesome.
Good movie. But then, okay, so we talked about Fred Gwynne, who is amazing as the judge.
Oh, you have Lane Smith played...
I was just going to say Lane Smith. You took the words right out of my mouth.
He played the prosecution, and he is Perry White from Lois and Clark.
Lois and Clark. And you know what?
And he was in Prison, that movie Prison with Viggo Mortensen
that we talked about. Yeah. See, this is one of the few roles he's not an asshole. I like him.
No, he's not. But it's, oh my God, there's this recurring joke throughout the movie that they cannot get a decent night's sleep at any of these motels they go to. right? Because there's a pig run, and then there's a bunch of shooting and a lot of screaming and stuff. It's a lot of hysteria, and he's a New Yorker. And the thing is, I can tell you, being a New Yorker, last night my next door neighbors are screaming and yelling at 3 a.m. in the morning.
And you probably slept right through it.
Well, no, I was watching TV. I'm a night owl, but I was like looking over toward the wall, and I was like, go to fucking sleep. It's 3 a.m. in the morning. But the thing is, if he can't get a decent night's sleep in the middle of the fucking country, you know it's got to be loud, right?
You know. But I just like that whole scene. He says, no, let me stay in jail overnight. Maybe I'll get some sleep.
I forgot. It's a lot of good one-liners in this too, and
and then you see him in jail, and all jail's rioting, and he's snoozing away like a fucking baby.
Yeah, I know. Pesci is one. Unfortunately, Marisa just steals the show. She just totally steals the show. That's why she got the Oscar. Everybody was like thinking it was a scam or it was a rig or it was fixed because she got the Oscar or something. They even made a joke about it on Family Guy. If I can find that joke, I'll throw it in right here.
And the Oscar goes to Marisa Tomei.
Dude, surprises have happened, and I can think of a few. Number one, Mark Rylance winning the Oscar over Stallone back in 2014. That was a big fuck you. One of the ones I called, remember the movie Little Miss Sunshine? I know you've seen it.
Yeah, we
like
talked
that.
about it, yeah.
Yeah, what's his face?
Alan Arkin?
Oh, Alan Arkin, thank you. He was a shock win because, like, everyone was saying, like, somebody else was going to win that year. And I'm like, no, Alan Arkin's going to fucking win. I know Alan Arkin's going to
He was
win,
really good in the movie.
He did, yeah. I wanted Alan Arkin to win because, like, I loved his performance so much in that movie.
The only thing is his passing in the film reminds me a lot of Aunt Edna from National Lampoon's Vacation.
Yeah.
Except he passed out. What, he had a heart attack from masturbating or something?
No.
Is that what it was? I don't know why I'm thinking of Clerks. Remember when the old man died and his erection was under the sheet and you could see it and it traumatized him?
She just fucked a dead guy in the bathroom. But no,
Oh, fuck. We got to do Clerks at some point, too. We got to do Clerks and Mallrats.
There you go. This cast, just some of these cast members are just so great. Like you said, Lane Smith is great in this. Marisa Tomei, the Dark Horse Oscar win, and everyone tried crying foul on it. But fuck them, they're assholes. They're trying to say Jack Palance didn't fucking read the right name purposefully or some shit.
Really? I mean, I don't know. Who was she up against? Let's take a look.
Oh, it was a stacked year. It was a big stacked year.
Let's take a look at Academy Awards 1993. Okay, Best Supporting Actress. Judy Davis for Husbands and Wives. She was really good. I remember that movie. Miranda Richardson for Damage. God, I barely remember that movie. Howard's End and Enchanted April. These were all like artsy films. Hers was the only nomination that came from just a straight up comedy. Husbands and Wives has some funny shit in it, but it's more a drama, and it was like, kind of depressing in the end when you think about it.
So it's like one mainstream comedy versus all these art house.
Isn't that weird? Comedy is usually doesn't get that kind of respect at the Oscars,
And hey, guess what? She bucked the trend, man.
And this was the year, I guess.
And it shows it wasn't a goof because she's been nominated a few other times.
It seems like a shock. I mean, I was absolutely gobsmacked when she won because she was up against these heavyweights.
Yeah.
And this was the year of Unforgiven. Unforgiven, Clint Eastwood got Best Picture, Best Director. Al Pacino got it for Son of a Woman.
Gene Hackman got it for supporting.
For Unforgiven. Emma Thompson got it for Howard's End was like the big hands-on favorite, I remember. Because it got the most nominations and it was all, and it was also, you had, Robert Downey Jr. was nominated for Chaplin, which also Marisa Tomei was in that movie too.
See, Unforgiven, I like that win because I do like Unforgiven because at the end of the day, it's not an art house movie; it's a fucking western.
It's Unforgiven. I'm not a fan of westerns. That is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of westerns, but yeah, I love that fucking movie. I owe my buddy Mike everything for making me watch that movie.
There are maybe a handful of westerns that I really like. Unforgiven is at the top of that list. There was a
Tombstone, of course. Fucking Tombstone.
Tombstone. I haven't seen it in such a long time. I have it though, and I'm gonna show it to. I wanted to show it because Bronwyn wanted to see it again because she loves, Val Kilmer and all that.
Just for that cast alone.
And Kurt Russell. And
Kurt Russell.
And
Michael Biehn.
Yeah.
Bill Paxton.
To be fair though, I did enjoy Wyatt Earp as well. And I love Dennis Quaid as Doc Holliday. He's wonderful in the film.
Yeah, do I want to sit through 3 hours?
Yeah, I know. You don't want to sit there. But also, hey, Gene Hackman's in it too. They grabbed him for that right after Unforgiven. They were like, we put Hackman in the movie because Hackman has been in a bunch. Oh, Quick and the Dead is a great movie, but I don't really consider it a Western. I consider it more.
No, I don't consider
it's more of a Sam Raimi film.
It's a genre film. Okay, that's what I'm going to call it. It's a Sam Raimi genre pick.
But it's great though. It is a Western, but it is Sam Raimi.
Oh, you know, it's another great Western. The remake of True Grit.
True Grit, wonderful.
The remake.
I like the original too. The original with John Wayne is really good too. There's a movie. Oh, okay, there were two. There was a movie that Kevin Costner made with Annette Bening and Robert Duvall. That was a really good one. Open Range. That's the name of it.
Oh yeah, a lot of people like that.
That's a good one. And then there's a
Silverado's good.
Silverado's okay. That's a Kevin Costner.
I said good.
Lawrence Kasdan.
Lawrence Kasdan again.
There's a movie called okay, I mentioned Open Range. Oh, there's a movie that Ed Harris directed called Appaloosa with Viggo Mortensen.
Appaloosa, I heard that was good.
That's a good one. That was really good. Except
of course we keep forgetting about the one we talked about, Heaven's Gate.
Heaven's Gate. Is that a Western though?
Yes, it is a Western.
Would you call it a Western? I don't know if I'd call it. Suddenly I sound like Jay Leno talking about this.
Well, it takes place in Jackson County, Wyoming, or Johnson County, Wyoming, which is way out west. I would call it a Western.
I'm still doing Jay Leno here. I feel like it's like about government fascism more than a Western. Yeah, you're probably right. Now, there was another one, I think, with Christian Bale called 3:10 to Yuma. Is that the name of it?
Yeah, but that's more of an action movie because that was a remake and that was like done by James Mangold. And he was a
but it was a good movie.
Guy.
It was a good movie.
Yeah,
I remember enjoying it. I remember enjoying it. I thought it was really good.
Well, so anyway, we're again.
You're
no more Westerns.
Way off track again.
Yeah, way off track.
We were talking about Marisa Tomei and the whole reason that this movie is so fucking awesome is because of her. She's wonderful, and I fell in love with everything she was in after that. I was watching. Like I said, she's so goddamn cute. In Untamed Heart, and you know, she could sell all that schmaltz. You know, she did a pretty good job with Christian Slater. And
plus, you had a great support. Like I said, the supporting cast in this movie is 100% on point. Everyone, and dude, Bruce McGill, fucking Bruce McGill, one of the unsung heroes of this movie.
D-Day.
God, I love that man. I love that man.
In addition to showing up later as May Parker in the Spider-Man movies, and I'll never forgive them for killing her. She also appears as she is the person who created The Purge.
Oh yeah.
In the what was it? The first Purge. The first Purge movie, which came out, it's like the fourth movie in the series. She is revealed to be the person who created the Purge in the first place. They give her like a little cameo, and it's really wonderful. She was also in The Bedroom. We talked about Todd Field.
Todd Field.
We talked about the Oscars. She got nominated for that too, and for The Wrestler. But you know, Darren Aronofsky.
And she was great in The Wrestler. I love her in The Wrestler.
I'm not a big fan.
Oh, fuck you, Aronofsky basher.
But then, so like she was on all, and she's just, oh God, I love her. Especially when she does her little, she does these things with Pesci. She has such great chemistry with him, and they're flirting constantly. There's a lot of heat between them, even though you don't really expect it from Joe Pesci. But I guess he's just very good with actors. There are some actors who just have really good charisma with everybody.
Well, see, I also like the smart screenplay because it does keep. I mean, you know they're innocent. You know they didn't.
You know
kill
they're
anybody.
innocent, but they have the harder job.
How are we gonna find out who killed them and why? I love the resolution of the movie when they said it's a Pontiac Tempest and this and that, and it proves everybody wrong. And I'm just like, wow, that's fucking amazing. Like I love the end. It's a satisfying fucking ending.
You know what's interesting? I read something that they, in law school, they show this movie.
I told you this. I told you this when we did our comedy episode when I named this as one of my favorite comedies of all time. And I told you that they teach this movie in schools.
It's mainly
because of the accurate way that a trial, a court trial would go. It's exceedingly accurate.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, it's a Hollywood movie, but they didn't Hollywood up the trial. You know what I mean?
Well, the main thing about it was the tires on the car. And Marisa Tomei is an expert on cars. She's like a part-time mechanic, right?
Right. It's like my father was a mechanic. His father was a mechanic. My uncle's a mechanic.
Yeah.
I got 3 cousins that are mechanics.
So she's able to identify a particular type of tire, and that's what exonerates Ralph Macchio and his friend.
Well, yeah, it's not so much the tires are the same. It was the positive traction. It was the fact is that like the way the tires would spin, the type of marks that they would leave, only a Pontiac Tempest or Buick what is it? The kids were driving a Buick Skylark, and they said a Buick Skylark could not make those tire tracks because of positive traction, but a Pontiac Tempest would make those marks.
Yes.
and they had the same tires because it was the a GM vehicle, and they used the same exact tires and everything like that.
It's real garage monkey nerd shit.
Exactly.
Basically.
Garage grease monkey porn. That's exactly what it is.
So the whole thing is when she's making her case about this, right? She had just had a fight with Vinny, and then they start flirting. They start flirting through the questioning, and then she gets all flirty.
Are you sure? I'm positive.
And they wind up getting back together. They have such great chemistry together. It's so fantastic. And the thing, when you think about Joe Pesci, you think about, well, it's funny. Joe Pesci had a career for a little while. He was in Raging Bull, and then he was in Easy Money with Rodney Dangerfield. It all comes back to Rodney Dangerfield. And then he disappears. He disappears for like 9 years, or no, 6 years. He disappears for like 6 years.
I'm not going to use the term disappeared. Okay, what I am going to say is this. He did not want to act anymore until Raging Bull fell in his lap. Raging Bull got him back into acting. He was out for a while.
He was in a couple of exploitation movies in the 70s. I remember that.
Yeah, so after Easy Money, he was acting, but he was still taking, like lower parts. People actually wanted him, but he wasn't taking
I can't really think of anything of note between Easy Money and Goodfellas.
He did someone just put a picture up. He did this like made-for-TV movie that came out in 1985. I don't even remember.
I forgot. Once Upon a Time in America. He did that too.
Yeah, he was in Once Upon a Time. So he worked with Leone. So there you go. He worked with Sergio Leone.
But then he disappeared, right?
Well, he just crawled under the radar for a little bit, and then 1990, bam, bam, boom, Home Alone and fucking Goodfellas.
Well, no, to be fair, Lethal Weapon 2.
Lethal Weapon, thank you.
Leo. Okay.
Leo.
Okay.
Whatever Leo wants, Leo gets.
They fuck you at the drive-thru.
Yep. So 89, there you go. So I'd say he was gone.
It's sporadic.
Very sporadic.
He
was gone for a few years.
Yeah.
Late under
After
the radar,
Raging Bull, he doesn't work again until 82. He does I'm Dancing as Fast as I Can. He does Dear Mr. Wonderful. 83, he does Eureka. He does Easy Money. Rodney Dangerfield probably grabbed him because of Raging Bull. I bet you that's what it was. And
more than likely.
And then he does this little blink and you'll miss it. And Once Upon a Time in America, gets shot in the face or something. I forget what happened in that. Or he's a hitman or something.
Well, no, he's one of the mob guys, and basically in his scene, he contracts the kids, or the guys, I say they're not kids anymore, to rip off this business. And then when they rip off the business, they're supposed to meet up with the other mafia members to, give them the goods. But then what they don't tell you is Pesci wanted Burt Young assassinated, and that's who gets killed, is Burt Young.
He kills Burt Young, right?
Yes.
Doesn't he shoot him through the little eyeglass thing when they're looking at the jewels?
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that scene.
Yeah, Pesci doesn't do that, but that's James Woods, Bobby De Niro.
That's that other guy. Oh, what the fuck? The guy from Raising Arizona, John Goodman's his jailbreak apartment.
Yeah, William Forsythe.
He's the guy who does that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and then after that, then you get these like weird ones like Everybody in Jail and Man on Fire in 1987. He took a 3-year break after that. Then he appears in Michael Jackson's Moonwalker movie as a mobster, of course.
Frankie DeLeo, the name of his manager.
Liddeo. He's Liddeo, which is obviously DeLeo.
Yeah.
He's obviously because Frank DeLeo is the guy who shoots him. Well, Frank DeLeo and Charles Scorsese shoot him in Goodfellas. He comes into the room. Oh no! Gets shot right through his face.
Fucking Tootie shoots him in the fucking back of the head.
And that's Frank DeLeo, who was Michael Jackson's manager at the time,
and who was also Mr. Big in fucking Wayne's World 1 and 2.
That's right.
Or Frankie Sharp.
Yeah. And then after that, another 2-year break or another break, and then he shows up in Lethal Weapon 2. Alan Alda puts him in Betsy's Wedding, and then he shows up, and then he finally comes together. And this is when he suddenly, it took him how many years? His first movie was 1961. He took a break after that. Then he made another movie in 76, and then another break after that, and then Raging Bull. He finally catches on. If anybody, tenacity. He was never, I don't think he was ever meant to be a movie star. I think he was always meant to be a good, solid character actor. That's who he plays, right?
Well, that, and you also have to remember he was bumming around with Frankie Valli in the 50s.
Really? I didn't know that.
You did not know that?
No. That's before my time, dude, and it's before yours.
Well, unfortunately, I had the unfortunate privilege of seeing Jersey Boys.
Jersey Boys.
I didn't see the Broadway show. My parents saw the show. My mom, when she was still alive, was a gigantic Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons fan. She loved Frankie Valli. So when Jersey Boys came to Chicago, they went and fucking saw it. Okay,
That's
whatever.
Not fair. It's not fair.
I saw the movie, and fuck, that movie stunk.
Clint Eastwood?
Fuck, that movie was, dude, that
Clint
was
Eastwood directed it.
Yeah,
I want you to sing this song.
Yeah,
Okay.
whatever.
No, no.
But I wanted to research that because there was a character in the movie. Joe Pesci was in the movie, and then you come to find out. I looked it up. Yes, Joe Pesci and fucking Frankie Valli were fucking tight in the 50s. They were really good friends.
How the fuck old is Joe Pesci anyway?
He's like 82 or 83.
Well, God bless him. As George Carlin once said, he doesn't worship God. He doesn't believe in God. He believes in Joe Pesci. Now, Joe Pesci just completely exploded after Goodfellas. He was in Home Alone, of course, the big movies. He was in he was in The Super. That was a leading star status thing. Then he was in JFK, and then he was in, of course, Lethal Weapon 3, Home Alone 2, A Bronx Tale, which I saw in the movies.
Which is just a bit part at the end, but it's a good little part.
He was in this movie I really didn't like. But I like Joe Pesci, but because
if you're gonna say 8 heads in a duffel bag, I'm gonna be pissed.
No, not that. He was in Jimmy Hollywood.
Yeah, that movie wasn't that great. Jimmy Hollywood was not that great. We forgot about With Honors.
With Honors is one of my favorite films ever. I really love that.
He was really good in With Honors. He was really good in that. Jimmy Hollywood, I know about that movie, but I've never seen it.
Jimmy Hollywood is I think Barry Levinson or somebody, who is it? Barry Levinson, right? Yeah, did that movie, and it was just, my God. It was edited so terribly.
But then they did some of the latter stuff in the 90s, like Lethal Weapon 4, Gone Fishing.
Does Casino, of course, Scorsese reunion. Now, you see, a lot of people bash 8 heads in a duffel bag. I think that's actually a pretty funny, underrated movie. I don't think it's one of the greatest comedies ever made. I like the movie. I like the black comedy aspect. What I don't like is that he is playing basically a very shallow character. He's playing, who do we need? We need a mobster. Okay, who are we going to get? Let's get Joe Pesci. It's like that. It's kind of by the numbers. It was just, there's some stuff in there that is funny. I like seeing it. Was but
where it comes full circle, back to Orion, because that was an Orion movie. That was after Orion emerged from bankruptcy.
Yeah.
That was when they were doing like 1 or 2 projects a year, and that was one of them.
Contractual obligation movie.
It's not a terrible movie. I think it's funny in moments. It has its moments, but it's not that great. I just don't like when people hate, like, oh, I hate that movie. I'm like, dude, it's not a terrible movie. It's not a great movie. It has its moments. Yeah,
it's a low budget black comedy, which is, again, you're not seeing anymore. And this is My Cousin Vinny, not quite a black comedy, but just, kind of a low budget comedy for 1992, because in the 90s, that's when you started seeing budgets explode. End of the 80s, early 90s. The budgets were exploding like crazy.
And then Jonathan Lynn wasn't even a big name back then. It's like,
not really, no.
Yes, we and you can talk about Clue and frickin' My Cousin Vinny. Another movie that he did that I really, really like. A lot of people don't talk about Trial and Error. Amazingly good movie.
That was
very good.
That was another legal movie. It was another legal comedy, right? Jeff Daniels, Michael Richards.
Yes,
right.
And Charlize Theron, and that movie and Rip Torn is in that movie, dude. Nobody talks about Trial and Error, and that is such a good fucking movie.
Jonathan Lynn directed a bunch of kind of like low to medium budget comedies.
But
except for The Distinguished Gentleman, that was obviously a big budget one because of
a movie
Eddie Murphy
really, really love that he made, and I love it to death. I don't know why.
Can I guess?
Go ahead.
Is it all right? Is it The Whole Nine Yards?
You got it.
Okay. I thought you were going to say Sergeant Bilko for a second.
No.
Or Greedy. Or Nuns on the Run.
No.
Oh, Nuns on the Run. Robbie Coltrane, rest in peace.
Robbie Coltrane and Eric Idle. Yeah.
Did he get noticed at the Oscars, the In Memoriam?
Oh, yes, he did. Robbie Coltrane.
Wow, I'm surprised because he backed J.K. Rowling. He was one of the few Harry Potter actors to actually back her during her problems that she was having.
Well, regardless, I will say this. My Cousin Vinny is my favorite Jonathan Lynn. Like, my top 3 Jonathan Lynn films are going to be The Whole Nine Yards, My Cousin Vinny, and Clue. And then a way distant last, I'm going to go Trial and Error. Like, Trial and Error is a very good movie. It's just nobody fucking talks about it. Nobody does.
I saw it on cable, and it did not do very well at the box office either. It cost a lot of money. It was twice the budget of My Cousin Vinny, and it made half its budget back,
Because dude, New Line made it, and they thought, Michael Richards is I think Seinfeld was still on, if not, it was on its last season. Mm-hmm. Like, he did it on a break.
They were trying to give Michael Richards a movie career. It just didn't work out, unfortunately, as we know.
The big thing is, and I hate to say this, but this is why I still miss, Siskel and Ebert, is why I still miss these guys. Because of them, you find out about good movies. And I remember watching the show, and then they talked about Trial and Error, and then they raved about it. They were raving about how good this movie was. And they said there was a scene in particular where Charlize Theron is crossing the street and she actually looks both ways before she crosses the street.
And
like, if it were a real Hollywood movie, she would just run across the street into the character's arms for loving embrace. What does she do? She looks both ways to make sure she can cross.
Well, okay, that's one of those tropes, those conceits of movie making, is that they never do that. They always jaywalk too. And another thing, they order dinner and never eat it. And then another thing, whenever they open a door, they never close it behind them. That always is these are movie tropes. So when you watch a movie, I want to see realism. I want to see them actually eating. I want to see them shut a door. I want to see them actually look both ways before they cross the street.
And that's why some of the movies work. Like a movie like Kingpin, for example, was another movie that Siskel and Ebert raved about. But yes, it was a screwball comedy, but it had like scenes that you talked about. Yes, they shut doors behind them. There's scenes where they're eating food. You know, they order food and they eat it, like you said. My Cousin Vinny's another example of, like, yes, it's a comedy, but it's set in reality.
Well, I figured out why, though. I figured out why they don't show people eating dinner. For the most part, if you keep the camera on an actor while he's eating, it looks kind of unattractive. Because I shot a scene where two actors are having dinner together and talking, and they have to eat their food while they're talking, right? Mm-hmm. Every time my actors open their mouth, it opens up, and then they swallow the food, and they start chewing on it while the other actor's talking. So I had to cut away from that because it was unattractive. It didn't look good. So cut back to the other actor while the other actor's eating.
I mean, at least there's a little scene in My Cousin Vinny where they have the breakfast and then that shows them eating.
Yeah, they actually do eat dinner. I mean, maybe that is Jonathan Lynn's specialty there.
Yeah, he just knows how to.
Which the connection here, Trial and Error. Austin Pendleton is in both movies. So
yes, Austin Pendleton. I haven't seen Trial and Error in a long while. I need to watch it again. Because that's one of the movies I revisited every couple of years. Because like I really like the movie, but it's not like it's no My Cousin Vinny by any fucking means.
But
My
they
Cousin
did try
Vinny
to sell it. They tried to sell it on the basis of it. They were like from the director of My Cousin Vinny.
And it didn't help. Like it just wasn't promoted enough, and nobody cared about Jeff Daniels but luckily Jeff Daniels and Charlize Theron have careers, and can't say the same for Michael Richards. Can't say the same for him.
You know what Trial and Error reminds me of? Like one of those Gene Wilder, Richard Pryor movies. You know, where you have this improbable friendship between two very different people.
It
reminds me of that. It reminds me of
one's this struggling comedic actor, and the other one is a successful trial attorney.
I mean, it's like We watched Stir Crazy a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, how are these people friends? They have nothing in common.
Well, you could watch that with See No in one of a lesser film down the line, See No Evil, Hear No Evil, yeah, and it's just like, how are you two friends?
Yeah, another you.
It's like, let me introduce you to my friend Harvey Wallbanger, okay?
Yeah. Okay, so let's wrap up My Cousin Vinny,
or the two Utes, as we like to call it. I had to throw that one in there. The two Utes. What is a Ute? It's like, so I went through all this trouble, Your Honor, to please you.
He didn't even like the way he dressed. He was dressed in black, he was wearing, and he put him in jail for that. And then he had to go find a suit, and she goes to this secondhand store and finds a suit because apparently
it's like I wore this ridiculous getup for you.
Yeah.
It's it, dude. It's just one of them movies. Honestly, it's what these two movies have in common, other than the William Zabka Ralph Macchio connection. What they both have in common is this: you can turn them on at any time of your life and just sit back for 90 minutes and have a good time.
Yeah.
Because these are both amazing, funny movies.
And really,
now Caddyshack I like a little more. But yes, it's more of an ensemble piece than Back to School is. That aside, these are just two great movies. You can see them on streaming, and then you go, you know what? I'm gonna fucking pop it on because I could watch this movie any fucking time I want. I love it so much.
Right. It's simple storytelling, and both these movies were profitable because the budgets were so low. It's just and what's more, I mean, getting a lot of notoriety too. You would expect, considering that this movie came out in March of 1992. This is one of those movies where a nomination was given for an actress way before Oscar season. This is not an Oscar movie. They were not expecting this to be Oscar bait.
Well, but then another thing we share in common is what we just talked about with Everything Everywhere All at Once. Now, granted, you didn't like the movie, and that's fine. But we're comparing it to what happened. Everything Everywhere came out in March. Nobody thought this movie was going to be an Oscar-nominated, let alone an Oscar-winning film. And look what happened. 1 year later, it swept. It did the sweep. Now, My Cousin Vinny wasn't going to do that, but equally as impressive is it was a movie that came out in March of '92. Almost a full year later, Marisa Tomei wins an Academy Award for it.
Yeah.
But then for other sake, it's like you could say the same thing about Jamie Lee Kwan and Michelle Yeoh, a movie that came out a year prior and nobody forgot about them.
Nobody forgot about. Well, I think people did forget about My Cousin Vinny, though. I think that it was just a harmless movie. It was a harmless comedy. It made its money.
Well,
yes.
but this also goes
when the
back
nominations came out, people were like, "What? Really? You got Howard Zinn, you got Enchanted April, and My Cousin Vinny?" It's like it was all a bunch of like art films, some of them pretentious, more pretentious than others. And then you've got Marisa Tomei's completely unpretentious performance as Mona Lisa Vito.
She played it real. She was dude. There is not a false note of acting in that single movie. It has so many funny moments. It is hilarious. Everybody is on point in the movie. You know what that says to me? They really don't make them like they used to.
No, they don't. Certainly not comedies.
They really don't.
This movie, I don't know. You would really have to sand down the edges and polish this thing until you've lost everything that made it special to make this movie today. 30 years.
Sucks for Jonathan.
30 years.
It sucks for Jonathan. Yeah, 31 years. You said it came out in March of '92.
Yeah.
This movie's just turned 31 years old.
Oh my goodness! Can you believe that?
You know.
Can you believe that was 31 years ago?
And I saw it in the '90s. You saw it in the '90s. You know, and it's just this amazing film. It's like, dude, we're not trying to sell Back to School short. Okay, it's like Back to School is just your quintessential '80s comedy. My Cousin Vinny is one of the last great like real comedies to ever come out of the '90s. I mean, we did get some resurgence, like Clerks came out. That was a year later. Or 2 years later was Clerks.
Wayne's World. We just watched that recently again, and it is still a very funny movie. Holds up.
Yeah, I mean, but
these movies are over 30 years old. It's so depressing.
There's just something so special about it, and it just sucks we don't get them like that anymore. You know, it really does. I wish we could get a good, smart comedy that just has some great performances and some good writing.
Also, I must say, Marisa really held on to her looks. She looks beautiful.
Yes, she
I don't see any plastic surgery. She does not look like a fucking fish. They didn't do anything weird to her cheekbones. They didn't turn her into Madonna Saw,
You see, that's what I loved. That's why I loved when she did The Wrestler, because she was like, I think she was in her 40s when she did The Wrestler, but she wasn't afraid to go nude, and she still had an amazing body at 44, 45 years old.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just like, it's good on her. I love her for that. But
all right.
But yeah, two great comedies. Check them out. If you're one of the 10 people out there who are still living under a rock and have never seen Back to School or My Cousin Vinny, fucking check them out.
Please.
My Cousin Vinny is on HBO Max, I believe, and Back to School is free to watch anywhere. YouTube, Tubi, go watch it on those services.
All right.
We would tell you to buy the Blu-rays. I have the Bluerays for both movies. I'm pretty sure you do.
They pop up on cable a lot, though. You can see really good transfers on cable right now.
Yeah, they're good HD scans. They're good.
I think you might be able to find them both on HBO Max at this moment. I could be wrong.
I think you are right. I think they are both on HBO Max.
I think that's where we we didn't see. Actually, no. I TiVo'd them, but they're probably on HBO Max.
What are we doing next?
Next, we're doing 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. 3, 4,
better lock your door.
5, 6, grab your crucifix. Even though he is of no affiliated religion. 7, 8. Gonna stay awake.
Gonna stay up late. And
9, 10. Never sleep.
Well, we'll be back again.
Hey,
next time.
You made a rhyme.
Yes, I did.
You just made a rhyme. All right.
Hey, I'm a poet and didn't know it.
Oh. Oh. Like, share, and subscribe. Good night, kids.
Yes. Good night, guys.
Imagine you're a deer. You're prancing along. You get thirsty. You spot a little brook. Put your little deer lips down to the cool, clear water. Bam! A fucking bullet rips off part of your head. Your brains are laying on the ground in little bloody pieces. Now I ask you, would you give a fuck what kind of pants the son of a bitch who shot you was wearing?